So you want to know what blockchain is. It's all over the internet, but there are very few people who actually know how it works. The first thing you need to know before getting into know what blockchain is called hash. A hash is a unique set of characters. Let us assume that we have a data called code.io. This hash is correspondent to that particular code.io data, and it is so unique that no other data will produce the same hash that has been produced for code.io. If you just add a space into it or a dot, it will change the whole hash. Now we will move to what a block is. A block is just like a storage space, right? So if you consider a notebook, there are pages in it, right? So only you can write data or write this stuff into the pages, and the collection of these pages is a notebook. So a block, you can consider it as a single page, right? So what you can do is you can store data in this block, and there are things more to it, but for simplicity's sake, for now we'll consider we are storing some data into this block. Okay, so there are a few things that are included in this block. The first thing could be block number, right? You can consider it as a page number, and similar to that, you also have we are writing stuff into it, right? So we also have data. So what we are going to do is we are going to hash this data and store it here in the block. We are going to store the data as well. We are also going to store the hash of this data. You'll know why we store this hash of this data in a little bit, but bear with me here. If I want to add some more data into it, what will I do is I can add another block. Okay, now we are clear with what a block is. Now we'll get to blockchain, right? So considering multiple blocks, the first one has code.io, the second one has code.io English, and so on, right? So the second block has code.io English. These two are individual blocks, right? There is no connection in between them. So we'll have to we'll have to create a connection or connect these blocks, and that is how we form a blockchain, right? So how exactly do we do that? We are going to store the hash value of the previous block in our current block. If you are familiar with the concept of linked lists, it is very similar to that, except you are storing the previous value instead of the next value, right? So you are just connecting these blocks, right? There should be some way that you can access the previous block from our current block, right? There should be a connection, and this hash value is what you are going to use to make that connection, right? This current block is going to store the hash value of the previous block. Now we have a couple of blocks here. To avoid people to tamper into these blocks, there should be some way to state that this is a verified block, right? So there should be some indication, some rules. So that is where this particular rule comes in, right? So the hash values, as you have already seen, it's a random value and it is unique to the particular data. But these hash values can be of a fixed length. Every single data, like no matter what the size of the data is, the hash value would be the same length. But these hash values can have numbers and alphabets in them, right? So we are going to create a simple rule stating that the first 4 characters of this hash value should be 0. So how exactly do that? Like there is a hash method and it is generating hash from the data given to it, but how can you tell that it is going to generate a hash with 4 zeros at the starting of it, right? It is quite hard. So that is where something called nonce comes in. It is some random number that when combined with the data that we are going to give to it, the hash method will produce a hash with 4 zeros at the beginning of it. So this nonce is generated by the algorithm that is performing these actions in the blockchain, right? So what it does is it gets your data. The data is fixed because you have just given it to the algorithm, and the data is fixed. The algorithm or the procedure that is used to convert this data into the hash is also fixed. Okay, so these two are fixed. Now the answer that we require, we know a condition that the first 4 characters should always be 0. Now what we are going to do is we are going to put values, different values for the nonce, and we are going to find a value of the nonce where when added with the data and given into the hash function, the output hash should have 4 zeros at the beginning. And the process of finding the nonce by brute forcing it or by placing different values into it and doing this is called mining. Hi, sorry for interrupting. Hope you are enjoying this video. A lot of effort went into making this video, so it would be of great help if you could share this with your friends and subscribe to Code.io. On to the video now. When you try to tamper with one particular block, let us say the first block had code, right? The first block had Code.io, the second block had Code.io English as its data. Now, I am trying to make a small tweak to the first block. So instead of Code.io, I am just going to make it as code.io. Okay, this is a very small tweak. Instead of the space, I am just adding a dot into it. Now, what will it do is, the nonce value is already fixed and given to the blockchain. The data, we have just changed it. So, the hash will automatically change, right? Because the previous hash value was given for the data code space IO. Now we have changed the data. So the hash value generated will be different. Okay, so what it means is the current hash value of the first block has changed, but the second block has the hash value which was earlier given to the block 1, right? So the block 2 that has data Code.io English, its previous value is no more present in the blockchain, right? Like this creates a disconnect in the blockchain, right? So whenever you tamper with a block, the blocks to the right of it, everything will be disconnected from the blockchain. How exactly do we fix this, right? So what do they do is they remine this block. Okay, so when they remine this block with the new data, a new nonce value will be found, so that the new data along with that nonce value will produce a hash that has 4 zeros at the beginning. So this particular block has been remined and it is in the safe zone. Now this will not fix the issue because every block to the right of us has been disconnected and the new hash value is not updated there. So you will have to remine every single block to the right of it, to the right of the block that you have tampered with, right? You have to remine every single block. Now this might be a problem, right? Because any hacker can modify one block and remine every block to the right of it and will produce something that he wants, that he desires, some tampering in the transaction, right? So to prevent this, what they are doing is they are distributing this blockchain among all peers. So what do I call by peers, right? So this mining process or this blockchain is maintained by a lot of servers or a lot of people called miners. So what exactly do? They have their computers connected to the network and they find the nonce value by running the given algorithm on their computers, and they are called peers, right? Because they are all doing the same work. They all maintain the same copy of the blockchain. So the blockchain is a distributed network, right? So everyone has the same copy, and if you tamper with one particular copy and remine everything, it will not affect the other copies, right? So they will make a voting because we have found a discrepancy, something that is not same with everything else. They'll make a voting and see which one is majority, and that value will be given to every single blockchain or every single peer in the network, and it will be updated. So this is what happens when you tamper with one block. Although this sums up how blockchain works, there are some application tools that are really interesting, like cryptocurrencies and NFTs. So if you are interested in them, let me know in the comments and I'll definitely make a video on it. And here are some more videos that you can watch. Bye for now.